Hey, 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 welcome back. Welcome back to the Gemini channel. Listen, if you're new to the channel, my name is Laura, and I am going to do a general message for you. Know that energy is fluid, roles could be reversed. Just interpret the message as the best resonates with you. Also know on this channel, I like to dive deep within the reading. So I look at everything, so don't worry about that. But I take a lot more time to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, and see how they play out as karmic themes to help you understand why you get stuck in the cycles that no longer serve to support you. I was having a conversation with God. I do that often because I'm by myself since my husband passed away. I'm just mainly with my dogs. I have a ton of friends though, so don't even think about coming to my house. Anyway, um, so I was having a conversation with Spirit about you know what makes people winners, and what makes people winners are really their habits. It's, do they show up for themselves? Do they love themselves? So, our relationships are a reflection of how we feel about ourselves. Ooh, got indigestion. You know why? Because I have bad habits. One of my habits is I like to eat junk food. I don't like to drink water, though this is water. Don't you kid yourself, I never drink water. But I have to because I get kidney stones. Bad habits. We have to recondition ourselves when we need healing. And when we've gone through trauma, we need healing. It's just what happens. See, we don't talk about the emotions. If someone's overly emotional, it's like, oh, I don't know how to handle it. I feel uncomfortable. Many times that's what people, you know, so people wear masks. They don't show their feelings. They don't show their emotions. They don't show that they feel that they are inadequate, that they're not good enough, that they don't have enough. But the kingdom of heaven's inside of you. If you can imagine it, you can create it. And so we know by the law of attraction that if we can embody it, and embody it is envision it, act as if you already have it. But if you're in survival mode, you're not going to be able to do that. And we become a society that's growing more and more and more further away from our true self. So the war on consciousness has begun. And so, Gemini, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to stay in the lousy relationship, the lousy job? What? Your relationships are a reflection of that. A reflection of how you feel about yourself, obviously. It's your relationship to yourself, which is your relationship to God, your relationship to other people. And yes, I did say the G word, you know, um, be your spirit, your higher self, you know, the universal part of yourself. Does that make you feel better? It's like understand the universe is an extension of God, so it has God's energy. Everything that God creates has God's energy, including ourselves. So when we're in the energy of love, unconditional love, we are in that energy and we need to be taught what that energy is. We need to be taught because when Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge, they learned. They learned that no longer God could protect them. They had to learn how to make their own money. Began to have a physical body that they needed to take care of. These things, you know, were really easy at a time. Got a job and we paid bills and we had life. We had joy in our life. passion for life. And so Jesus died for our passion for life. And most of us don't live that way. Most of us live in a place of survival, a feeling that we're not good enough, don't have enough, that we're lacking. Because hey, that's the reality that we live every day. Like we almost don't have a choice. And so we're a society that has become detached. You want to know really why what's happening is happening. It's like no one has control. We actually have control. It's like everybody knows that when you have a million people thinking the same thing and doing the same thing, you get a better result than just 10 people. So the more asleep people become, the more control they have. So again, the war on consciousness has begun. All right. So let's take a peek at these cards. My God, they're tarot cards. No, they're not. No, they're not. But I do have a higher self, and that higher self is a God part of me. And that's where my intuition comes from. You're telling me I'm not allowed to use my intuition? Oh, I have to. That's how I get discernment. So anyway, the word of the video is tactlessness. So, I feel like Spirit was talking before, really, it's tacky. Just when you have bad habits, it means that you don't have a good connection to anything, really. When you don't have a good connection to yourself, you don't have a good connection to anything because you don't show up for yourself. So that's where the habits are. So it's how we were treated when we were young. So the wounds are in the inner child. It happened. So everyone, when Freud says it all came back to childhood, it really does all go back to childhood. And it's not a blame game, but we want to learn how to break the ancestral karma. A lot of people, you talk about this and they're like, the hell are you talking about? You don't make any sense at all. When it's meanwhile they've adopted family karma. You're lucky if you grew up in a family that gave you good, like taught you, loved you, supported you, how to focus. So a lot of people don't. A lot of people do, but a lot of people also don't. It doesn't mean that the people that do don't need healing. They need healing in other areas, usually the spiritual mind, the imagination, the creative mind through intuition. Again, the kingdom of heaven's inside of you. If you can imagine it, you can create it. It's seeing a different reality of something else. Otherwise, things get boring. You know, we get stuck in a perception. So again, life is all about learning. But again, if the people that don't show up for themselves, they don't love themselves enough. That's what that is. So they're not going to have good habits. That's where you can see the ancestral karma, like I said, which is adultery. You'll see alcoholism. You'll see drug addiction. You'll see the children didn't have any support. They were taught through behaviorisms of watching their parents do. Because again, children learn through their senses. Again, they say by the time that you're like, I don't know, 7 years old, you know who you are. I don't know I didn't know anything by 7, but in your mind, you're rooted in your belief system by what you were taught by your ancestors, is what Spirit is saying. Sorry, God. Anyway, every once in a while, Spirit does have to intervene in the whole process. It's just what happens. Otherwise, I wouldn't know. what the heck I was doing. That's when we're in a faith walk. It doesn't logically make sense. It again, the spirit is the childlike. That's why it says be like childlike. Again, when we're like that, we're doing what we love. And then we're giving and receiving of love through our free will, right? That's how we do it. So we have to understand what the hell is blocking. Again, disappointment. Well, obviously, if we have bad habits, we're going to have a lot of disappointment. Spirit says not a good thing. Not a good thing. We don't want that. And what does that mean? It means there's a lot of resentment, there's a lot of anger, and there's a lot of anger and disappointment because it's like, there's a lot of sabotaging behaviorisms that come from people that have these bad behaviorisms. And you have to say, where does it come from? And it feels that there's a whole change in the body. People become less present, less grounded. Why do people do yoga? They do yoga to train the body because the body holds that tension. So again, when it doesn't feel good to be in the body, it's because as a child, many times we were again in our head, detached, detached. And that's again what you're going to see with these really bad energies. Why? Because no one wants to see their parents fight. No one wants to see their parents break up. No one wants, because again, parents dealing with a divorce, how much can they really truly emotionally be there for the child? Either they're giving not enough or they're giving too much because again, they're not doing what they love. We get balance through our unique individuality, through doing what we love, through the passion for life. Remember, Jesus died for your passion for life. So if we're again in the energy of tactlessness, we are actually in the opposite energy of not just, again, the laws of God, but the laws of the universe. Because the universe's energy is extension of God. God is ubiquitous, is omnipotent and omnipresence and omniscience. That's what it is. And I don't make the rules up. Don't argue with me. But when we're in that energy, good things happen. We're in a high vibration. We're feeling that love because we're here to really give and receive of love. This again, that's when we lose ourselves and we're not thinking about there's not enough because actually we're very abundant. See, again, this is when that support, that structure, and when there's problems, you're going to see problems within the teeth, you're going to see problems within the bones, you're going to see problems within the nervous system and the immune system. And so cancer happens at a very young age because, again, living in survival mode. The body doesn't break down the food that way. We're not in rest and digest. There's a whole change in the physical body system. This is what it means, folks. Understanding you want to upgrade your DNA. You want to upgrade? Yes, you can upgrade your DNA. But you got to, again, change those habits and behaviorism. There's a war on consciousness. So it's where we have to again stay in this high vibrational energy. And we know is by creating the support, by creating that support and having that support. And again, resentment, because of grief and sorrow, it's again, there's only two energies, love and fear. So even though you see the grief and you see the resentment, you see the disappointment. These are all, again, energies that come from, again, these bad behaviorisms that come from, again, getting in our own way. So those people need extra love. Those people, you know, but understand God works its glory through the broken aspects of who we are. So otherwise we wouldn't be able to like learn. We really wouldn't be able to. I know some of you guys are like, just get on with the reading already. This, if you're gonna see this, you're gonna see a shit type of reading because I do readings that talk about shadows, spiritual blockages. You want to get depressed because if it's again already talking about this, you better believe that the behaviorisms and the actions of the person is shitty. I'm just here to translate why that happens, how it's out of alignment. And I don't pick the cards, and I'm not in charge of what comes out of my mouth when I'm doing this job. Okay, because I'm in the flow, I'm in the flow with the universe, I'm in the energy of love. So again, I'm relying on the divine. I'm in a faith walk because I don't know what these cards. Do you think I know what these cards are gonna say? I don't know anything. I don't, I really don't. Only in the now do I get divine guidance, just like you. Through gut, intuition, inner knowing, it's a faith walk. It's a faith walk. It's every day we show up for ourselves. Every day we show up for ourselves. Every day. And you know what? That's hard when you see relationships are falling apart, families are falling apart, when you're seeing again, people are in survival mode, they're getting cancer. And you know, all these things make money. But what has happened is greed. Greed. And that's why we're out of alignment with the laws of the universe. It's again because it's when we're doing what we love, we're doing it for a fair amount of money, we're doing the right thing. But we have to again also educate, what we're doing, especially when it comes to our health, that comes to the food that we eat. And again, the other things that we need to take responsibility for, because to live costs money. And with that root chakra imbalance, what you're seeing is poverty, because bad habits create poverty. So again, you're not going to see a nice reading. So fuck you if you don't like how I do the reading. I know God says you can't talk like that. You can't talk like that. See bad habits. That's how you were taught. You were taught. See that? That's right. You feel that. That's underneath there. You better believe it. It's like, because there's a me part of me too, the dust part of self, and the dust part of self. You know when they will die. When they will die. Won't be here. It's again. But right now, this is who I am. So let's see what's going to happen here. Let's get the show on the road. So tactlessness. Ugh, I hate that energy. I just hate it. It brings so much misery. Let's pick from my deck. It's more positive. Empathy. So again, the positive side, again, there's always the light side, folks. Don't worry. It's not just all about being depressed. Empathy. We become more sensitive because it's like we've become on hardships. We relate to people. We're more open-hearted. We're more sensitive. People can feel that. They'll come and they'll share their every side, their deepest thoughts. But then they also feel uncomfortable because they feel uncomfortable about those things about themselves. Which again, when we're really embodying the energy of love, it's like we don't care. I think I care. I don't care. It's like, but again, empathy means you have a big heart. It might be under the exterior is I'm tough. And that would also be a root chakra imbalance. I was taught not to be sensitive. I was taught that's again overcompensating. It becomes a second chakra imbalance too. Overcompensating or undercompensating. So I have addictions. I have I have mind chatter, I have anxiety, I have depression, I have a low self-esteem down deep inside because I don't, like, again, those emotions are energy. And that energy has to flow because the energy is again of God. When again, what did I tell you? God is omnipotent, omnipresence, omniscience. It's ubiquitous. It's all around. It's also known as prana, the air that we breathe. It's what makes us supernatural. It what makes us be able to transcend all time and space. When you meet that soul mate, everyone is psychic. Everyone's a medium. It's the end where we get in our own way over time and then we don't think that we feel. Why? ESP is through the heart and mind. There is no distance. There's no time. The sensitivity is what comes from that. And living in between worlds, obviously, if you're not present and you're not showing up for yourself because you're so much in your anxiety and your addictions and your everything else, where you sabotage your life, well, again, you would better believe you become more sensitive. You're going to have more problems within the nervous system, and you're going to have, again, see, cancer at a young age. So again, you have to be mindful and show up for yourself, spirit is saying. And that's because, you're going to get sick. Like we can look at the inner child wounds. I'm on asthma medicine, sinus medicine. It's a horror show. It's like, and that's a root chakra imbalance too. The sinuses, you'll see again, inflammation, sinus infections, asthma. You're going to see more of that with the root chakra imbalance. You're also going to see problems within the blood. You're going to see anything again that's again within the life force. Because again, the imbalance. So we have to show up for ourselves. Again, that's the problem. You're not just in the mind. Detachment. When we again have detachment, and detachment comes from going through trauma. And so again, that's when you would go and visit your local, psychiatrist, therapist, someone that is going to help really heal you, someone that resonates with you. It's again, and you let your spirit guide you. It's again, and that means you let your gut tell you. So again, it's not let your head tell you. It's again, it's let your gut tell you. Don't let your heart tell you. Let your gut tell you, because that's going to be where the discernment is. And only in the now do you get divine guidance through gut, intuition, inner knowing. So it's again, you have to be in the flow of the universe. You have to again be giving of yourself, right? And that's the way to do it. We tend to do it through our habits and our behaviorism. So it's like, it's shit week, so I'm gonna get a tie one on and or smoke myself into oblivion or again, be in a relationship, escape myself, or escape in food, escape in. Everybody has something. It's so, but when people have a lot of trauma, what you'll notice is that they have a lot, and our society doesn't talk about it at all. We just pretend that it's not there, like, oh, it's not there. And then the person feels so isolated from their trauma. So it's again, it's the understanding we can maintain it. You can't give it all to a therapist. You can again get nowhere to begin, nowhere to start, nowhere to heal. And so there's always a lot of talk about root chakra imbalances. There always is. So we look at some inner child wounds, and then we're gonna do the reading kind of backwards. I know. Because again, there's like those were the cards that came out. So it's again, we have to look at the inner child wounds first. Get off my back. I know that it's not really done this way. Okay, neglect. Again, where does the root chakra and balance come from? God says from neglect. It's again not showing up. The parents, like watching the parents again in trauma, again not being loved, not again feeling of abandonment. So again, that we're having to show up for ourselves. This is how to heal that root chakra, to get how to love yourself, how to heal the inside. When people say you should just heal the inside of yourself, it's like you heal it from by creating yourself. You're not your trauma. So again, if you were neglected, so it's there's a sense of I don't really know what to do. I don't really know what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm on prednisone, so I have to drink a lot of water. I swear there's no alcohol in there. Believe me, I hate the taste of alcohol. I wish I liked the taste of alcohol. Life would be so much easier, you know, because then I could explain why I am the way that I am. But I don't like to drink, so it just logically doesn't make sense. But when you live in survival mode for long periods of time, you become more sensitive. You find your own way. You make your own way where there is no way because the spirit inside of you is guiding you. And that's when, again, neglect, there's a sense of looking for the answers outside of ourselves. And that's the number one, like spiritual law. If you break it, you're dead because it's again the neglect. If you don't show up for yourself, you're going to have see those bad habits and those bad behaviorisms. You're going to see a shorter lifespan and not a happy life. Now, who people want to travel, people want to experience life, have a love affair with life, because life is all about evolution. We're supposed to be able to evolve. But if we're in this place of trauma, who is evolving? No one's evolving. It's like I'm in a place of there's not enough, which is then telling me that I'm not good enough because the reality is that I don't have enough. And so again, logically, so again, the war on consciousness is this, but there's something more powerful. And it's that energy of spirit. It's the energy of God. It's the energy of the Holy Spirit that lives inside of us. And it allows us to do everything that we could possibly ever want to do for ourselves. But the perception is no, because again, we were neglected. So we're reliving that trauma. I'm afraid to pull more cards. Again, play. So again, Spirit is saying, so you weren't playing. See, that second chakra is reliant on playing. Be like childlike. Again, that's the answer because hey, life doesn't really make sense, right? I mean, it doesn't. We can say, why did that happen? That shouldn't have happened, and that's if we can logically, it just comes out to, well, I'm not enough, I don't have enough, I'm not good enough, or I don't know, there's just not. It's because that's the reality. I have to be this way, where Spirit says it's about playing, because the connection to God is through playing, finding yourself, is doing what you love. The passion for life. Jesus died for your passion for life. So you're out of alignment with, again, the universe because God is just made the universe with its voice. So it's just an extension of that. And we have that energy inside of us. That's what gives us spiritual sovereignty. So now I might have said it, but I'm going to say it again because many of you don't really listen the first time around. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's like you're stuck in your mind of what you think. Just again, sing, use your voice. And again, I always find singing to be happy, but here it's to express yourself that God created the world with its voice. You too can create the world with your voice, is to find the rhythm in life. The rhythm in life is, well, you can feel it. It's intuitive. It's not logic. It just feels right. Sometimes it just feels right. And there's a safeness within that energy. So we can get into that energy through faith. And that's through really loving ourselves. Because again, this body is God lives inside of it, spirit, because the Holy Spirit is part of God. It's again, so what did I say? God is ubiquitous. It's omnipotent, omniscience, omnipresent, which means we have that energy inside of us. So there is no separation. But if we're gonna, you know, not show up for ourselves, not love ourselves, not do enough for ourselves, well, then that's going to, again, be a problem. It's like, and that's why that's what this reading is about. And so we're doing it backwards. Like I said, the inner child wounds, but I'm going to tell you how to heal them. I'm not going to tell you again what the wound was. Again, already, obviously you can't use, if you can't play, you can't find yourself, you're not supported in that manner. It's that you were neglected. You needed to be guided. You needed to be taught. You had to find yourself. You had to put your energy into yourself. And some kids do that. And what happens is they get really good habits with their money and how to make money, but they're blocked in the higher chakras. And so that's why you may not resonate right now with the reading, because you might say, well, I didn't have that, but understand people have it. Again, that emotional support, that physical touch is what it was. So that trauma that you keep reliving is I always attract people that are emotionally not there for me. And this person did that to me. It's like that's the karmic cycle. And that karmic cycle is what keeps us in a place of limitation, keeps us in a place of loss, keeps us in a place of pain. And that's again the opposite energy of the universe, the opposite energy of God, the opposite energy of love. Again, there's no separation. The illusion is the separation. The anxiety is the separation. The depression is the separation. And so we are going to see it play out within the relationship, but we can see already this is why. This is why the long lecture before the reading, because Spirit says it's not going to be a nice reading, but understand why. It's like for those of you that say, hey, this is my story, because there are going to be people that resonate with this. Then it's again, understand why you're attracting who you're attracting. We're going to look. But my dog is barking, so I'm going to put you on pause for a second. Sorry about that. So I just had a conversation with God while I had some soup because I went to check on the dogs, and Spirit said a root chakra imbalance. Also, there's an endocrinician imbalance and the whole endocrinician system. And so our chakras are where our endocrinician system is. So the psychological and the emotional aspects of who we perceive that we are is what is the foundation of who we are, because it's the core beliefs. And again, what those core beliefs were taught by what one perceived at a young age. Again, it's not a blame game. People go through, people do the best that they can with what they have to work with. We all have different gifts, but understand the anxiety. And why I even say is because when we have to go on anxiety medicine, it's like then we need it. There's a need. There's a codependency. And that's what's happening. People are perceiving they need things outside of themselves to become whole. Now, there are some people that aren't. They're really living their best life. This wouldn't be their channel. This wouldn't be their channel. If you're living your best life and you perceive that you're living your best life, whatever that is, then you're co-creating with spirit the best way. Then maybe it's not your channel. This is a healing channel, though. I'm a healer. a psychic healer. Don't use the word psychic. You call yourself a Christian and a psychic? Mm, I do. Psychic of the mind, psychic of the mind. So understand the endocrination system. So then you're really, this is why you see cancer at a young age. That's why Spirit wanted me to include that. You know, otherwise I would have left out half my information. Like forgot the foundation. See, I have a root chakra imbalance. It's like, but hey, I've created myself. I'm creating myself. I'm healing myself. It's an unfoldment process. And that unfoldment process, again, we have to look at our behaviorisms. I wasn't an alcoholic. I wasn't a drug addict, but I have bad habits, like go to bed late, like at 3 o'clock in the morning. My diet is bad. It's like it's hard to stay consistent unless I have a trainer that I like, that I know I have to show up. See, I'm like one of those people that needs to be entertained, and so people that need to emotionally get something can be consistent. So again, this is why we always look for the passion for life, because that is where you're going to lose yourself, kind of like in that theta level of the mind, like right before you go to sleep at night and you drift off, you're in the deepest sleep. That's the self-healing sleep. It's the self-healing. You can be in a meditative state for 20 minutes and it's gonna feel like you got 2 hours of sleep or an hour and a half of sleep. And it's because it's self-healing. Because you're in the energy, that time and space with God. In order to sustain yourself, you have to really love what you do and do it 24/7. Really think about it. And, or, it doesn't mean that you have to do it, but you have to think about it. You're always kind of thinking about it, even when you're not thinking about it, because it's your first love, because it's your first connection to God. People don't have that. They're lacking passion. And so they rely too much on their relationships. I'm sorry to all the lawyers out there, but that's really what it is. I mean, that's how you heal it. That's why I said you're gonna see ugly, ugly things, but you might not see the ugly, like what this person really feels about you. It's that the fact that they have behaviorisms, their habits, their behaviorisms are in alignment with what they feel about themselves. So again, this is what's blocking them. This is what's in this story. This is what's in this story. So hold on. But you might see again, very nice energy. It was my fault, but I blamed you. Well, yeah, that's when a person has a root chakra imbalance, that's exactly what they do. So I feel as if like you're in a relationship with someone that you wanted more emotional connection, and and this person was like, I don't know what you want. It's like I buy you things. I take you here. We go there, but there's a disconnect emotionally, because that's what really it is. I mean, when we get a gift, it fulfills us for a moment. But what is someone supposed to give us a gift 24/7? Someone's supposed to entertain us 24/7. We don't know how to fill our own cup up. It's again, when we don't, we see codependency. And so the behaviorisms and the habits are based also on that lack, that separation from God, from the universe, from other people, because other people, I don't understand you. Make no sense to me. Right? It wouldn't make sense to you because are you living my reality? No, I'm not living your reality. I don't know what you were taught. I don't know. I will wait for a sign from you. So you're in separation from someone that's, again, I told you we're doing the reading backwards. And so this is the behaviorisms that are in alignment. So again, what you're going to be with a difficult person, and what you're going to see is projection. What you're going to see is like just like insecurity. I don't know what to do. So it doesn't mean the person can't go out and make money. People can go and make money, but then what happens is there's always this fear of losing money. When money has no energy except for the energy that we give it depending on, and people that have those bad habits put like false beliefs on like the things that are going to create support for themselves. They don't do it consciously, obviously. That's why I'm here doing my job. Again, otherwise I wouldn't have a job. Because I don't really even know how to read tarot cards because I don't have a memory. It's like I had a learning disability and ADHD, so I don't have, I don't like, I have a very poor memory. I lived in survival mode. My sensitivity comes from living in trauma. So when that happens, you know from the experience. That's how you know. I'm so attracted to you. So then what you're going to see is an overactive second chakra imbalance. So what you'll see is the relationship's very imbalanced. I feel like this person comes in and out of your life. They come in and out of your life, like, and so they're always like triggering your safety, your survival. So when we see that codependency, and so I say that because what holds it together is the passion. But a person can't be your passion. You have to, again, otherwise you will, if that person dies, what, then you're going to die, then you don't have anything to hold on to. You don't have a reason to live. So it's really important to make sure that you're like have that support. It's like, because then it's only about attraction and lust. And so again, that's you're out of alignment with the laws of the universe, which are just the energy of unconditional love. No expectation, no ownership, just is. So then the judgment, and the judgment, comes into play when we or have so like we're so focused on the passion, the connection, that fulfillment that we really perceive that we were going to get from that person. And then, we come up short. And then with that, again, they always say the size of the wound is how much you gave to that person. So it's not that you're not supposed to give to your person, but you're supposed to be growing at the same time. This is why they say if the airplane goes down, you're putting the oxygen mask on yourself first, right? That's why, and then you can help everyone else. So there's no shame in helping yourself. Your time is worth something. You're worth something. Like people again, that money, they like judge people that have root chakra imbalances that everything is so much money. They focus on that. Where again, the money has no energy. It's the fear. But again, how do you heal that? We're talking about healing stability. We're talking about breaking karmic contracts, people. This is important. It's like it'll help you from not having anxiety, not having depression. It'll help you. It'll fulfill you. It'll make you feel whole. It'll help you, like I said. Otherwise, to be in a relationship that's just passion, it's like it's not gonna last. It might last for 5 years, it might last for 10 years. But then what happens is you see the infidelity, you see the alcoholism, you see again the person checked out, they're there, but they're not. It's again, those are those deep ones. And it starts with again this. But then we have to look at the wounds. So this is what this person really feels about you. And it's again, like again, this person does feel as if they love you. Understand that. It's like because lust is a counterfeit. It's the devil. So when you're not co-creating with the universe and God, what happens is that it's very easy for the devil to trick you into perceiving that, something is going to be what lasts forever and makes you feel safe and whole and becomes, because again, the illusion is I can't do. And then over time, it's like the person doesn't even try. And so again, you speak to me through music, which is a beautiful thing because when we have spiritual blocks, even though this person may have a hard time communicating, it's the intuition, right? The intuition, it brings that person to the higher self. Again, love is always supposed to bring a person to God. That's really, again, you hold the person accountable. You're getting a person that's holding you accountable. It's not an easy relationship. It's that you're agreeing to go on that journey with the person. And so if the foundation isn't strong because you're not strong, well, then that's a problem. But understand, spirit is always there. You have to say, how does spirit talk to everybody? How are we all psychic? Well, again, spirit speaks through music, speaks through kind of what you hear. It could be someone walking by and they say something that triggers your intuition. We know when get triggered. It's again, we can feel it. There's a little butterfly in the stomach, and there's a little like, I know that answer, but I don't know how I know it. Because it's not from the logical, analytical mind. No, no. It's from the creative mind, the higher self, the God part of self. How do you think Helen Keller did what she did? Do you think she did from the logical mind? They said she was deaf, dumb, blind, and mute. But she was a miracle. She could look what she created. We're still talking about her. Her family's still probably getting a check from the Braille, the ancestors. I mean, why? There's residual income and everything, you gotta figure. We're sitting on a landmine, all you deaf, dumb, blind, and mute. See, God takes care of them. It's again, that's a miracle. No, 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 that's God. It's again. So God is speaking through. And so this is a love. There is a love. It's because love is healing. Love is patient, kind. It makes us do things that we don't want to do because hey, we don't want to do any of that. We don't have time for that. Gotta make money. Gotta survive. Gotta find it. I gotta find it. I gotta find it. I gotta find it. But only in the now do you get divine guidance because God says, oh, so you're gonna make your own way. Yeah, and how's that going to go? Because it didn't go really well last time. Just so that you know. Well, you're rushing, you're rushing, you're rushing, you're rushing. Survival mode does that. So you're going to see people that also have cardiovascular problems. Shut off their heart. I don't trust. I don't trust. I don't trust. I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe, you know? I liked you when I saw you with someone. So you might have been might have not even been in a relationship. This person might not even know what's going on because they don't even really are in your life. They love you. They're so attracted to you, but you know, they were never with you if you were with someone else. If they were actually in your life, a root chakra imbalance is that the infidelity. So, our consciousness, we see what we look for. So again, if a person grew up that way, that's what they're looking for, that's what they were taught. It's again, and their habits and their behaviorisms are also based on that because there's no emotional intelligence. And again, the emotional intelligence really comes from being really connected to the higher self, that God part of self. And so, again, a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people ask other people, what do you think? What do you think? You think that it's going to work out for me? Tell me. What do you think? 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 I used to hear my mother say that all the time, like over and over and over. And I have a lot of trauma, so I don't really remember a lot of my childhood. However, I remember that. Like she would always like, do you think, do you think, do you think? She'd get on the phone with Gladys. Like, not Gladys. Gladys was a friend of hers, but it was Vivian. She got on the phone with Vivian, and all I heard was, do you think, do you think, do you think? And it was that fear. Like, I don't trust myself. I don't trust myself. I don't trust myself. My father had cancer. He had cancer like 8 times. I don't lie. Towards the end, oh, it went to his like he thought he was going to get out of hospice. It was kind of cute, like what my sisters didn't think that it was cute. They were like annoyed, but because they were like he needs to wear a diaper and he thinks he's going to go get out of hospice. He was still drinking a beer, but he was detached from all the trauma from having cancer that many times. Can you imagine the fear of constantly being put on the line? Sickness comes from living out of alignment with the laws of God, the laws of love, the laws of nature, and the laws of the universe. They're all the same thing. So again, that that perception. So again, the person wasn't in your life is what spirit's saying. But it doesn't mean that the person doesn't love. It means that they don't show up for themselves. So being consistent with you is very difficult because you can't fulfill this person's needs 100% of the time. You can hold them accountable. You can teach them, you can love them, but if they don't love themselves, again, it's you can bring the horse to water, but you can't make them drink, okay? So that's what you see. So again, living in survival mode, you're gonna see that and you're gonna see you're gonna be on a lot of medications and those medications, you can do a lot of detoxing, to get them out of your system. Because when you're dependent on medications for certain things, like I said, with like if we become imbalanced in other areas of our life. So we have to heal the spirit part of self because we are only in physical form to learn and to manifest. You're a spiritual being having a human experience. All right, that's why. Otherwise, there's no point to God. Oh, there is no such thing as God. Shut up. Like it's like that's what you hear. Because if there's God, why does they let pain and suffering happen? Because Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge. Because again, evil came through and told them half truth, and they didn't believe, they didn't have the faith. And again, God didn't want them to eat from the tree of knowledge. They ate from the tree of knowledge. It's again, we are all descendants of Adam and Eve. We're all brothers and sisters. We're all connected. But we're taught to discriminate, we're taught to judge, we're taught it's again because the world does that, life does that. So again, we have to know where to start, and to start is again to get to the foundation of the fact that we're not separate from God. We actually have more power and more control than what we think. But when we see shit relationships like this, ones that create so much pain. And again, that's like, it's not good. But there is a lot of passion. So again, as I say, we go backwards. So let's look at again, let's look at the actual habits, what this person actually does. They take a lot of risks within the relationship. And that's again, that creates the adrenal rush. It feels good. That survival. We recreate that, whole body chemistry that changes. So again, we the passion and the excitement. It's so the person takes risks. So they might steal. They again reckless behavior. They could again any reckless behavior. They can drink and drive. They can again do things to sabotage themselves and bring them shame. Shame is an alignment with taking risks because why take risks? It's like why you want to play with danger. It's like because we get away with it once, we get away with it twice. Let's do it a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And so that would be cheating. It would be a lot of different things. Laziness happens because, well, root chakra imbalance. Again, we don't feel supported. What gives us life force? Why do we even do prana? I mean, why do we do breath work? Again, breath work is prana. That's spirit. That's the Holy Spirit. We have the Holy Spirit inside of us. But the spiritual blockages are the psychological blockages that are held within the body. And that's why we do things like body mind medicine. That's why we do energy medicine. That's why we have healers that do Reiki. That's why we have masters in all different types of healers and like that are just amazing that do all different types of things. That's why we have advisors. So some of the best advisors, they can't make their life work, but they can see for others. That's the irony. And they say, well, if your life was that so good, the whole point is the fact that God is with that person, that person more. So it's a faith walk. It's a more difficult walk because most people are not going to understand it. Most people are going to think that it is what it is, but really, again, that lazy energy is what happens with a person that has their whole endocrine system is off. And it means that you're like secreting a lot of cortisol, epinephrine, like where you become addicted to the serotonin. So a person might have a sex addiction. They might have, again, the alcoholism, whatever it is, but it's there. It's because they actually feel the need for that. They feel the need for it because I'm tired. I feel lethargic because that first chakra, that root chakra, is connected to the adrenal glands, that fight, flight, freeze. So the mind that is the chattering, over chattering. I can't shut the mind off. I'm so worried. I'm so worried. I have a lawsuit. I have how am I going to pay this bill? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? Like, it's it's not going to happen that way. It's like we have to get back to a place of trusting ourselves, getting back to the physical body, the physical world. You know, that's grounding. We have to create that support for ourselves. That's what the root chakra represents. That's why we talk about a lot about it. You see, again, it can come out in their behaviorisms, paranoid. It's again, I've only lived in bad circumstances. I'm terrified of, life. I'm looking for the answer outside. So I'm always, and I've lived bad experiences. So I'm always waiting for the shoe to drop. So we see what we look for. Like this person, like is like a workaholic though. So what you see is they're very good with their money. What you see is that they really, again, they want to represent, someone that, is, a good person. So it doesn't mean that they're not a good person. We're talking about spiritual issues. Spiritual issues are not the fact that the person can't hold a job. Some people can hold a job, but it's again, what you see is that they suffer from the more spiritual issues, the more ones where it's going to come out within their relationships a lot of times. It's going to come out within their habits and their behaviorisms, their addictions, how they're blocking themselves from really being abundant, from being able to create their heaven on earth. So again, it's that this person will identify with their job where they're not their job. Like, because because understand when a person has spiritual issues, they feel inadequate. They feel not good enough. They feel like they don't have enough. So understand many overachievers feel inadequate. And it's not because they're not making money. But again, this person could be very smart, someone that's doing well, that, is a workaholic. Look at this person that has how many hands? What are they doing? They're not in the emotional mind, right? They're not in the heart. They're in the mind, the analytical mind. It makes them feel safe, solid. But life is both. God is both. We're here in the physical world to embody the energies of both, you know. So what you see is lack. So even if there's an overachiever where the person knows how to make money, what you'll see is again that lack is not just about like how much money, but it's a lack of how that person feels about themselves. So that's why it comes out within their behaviorisms and their actions. And again, within that root chakra, there's someone that can make money and does very well and has all the potential, more than the potential, but they get in their own way. They self-sabotage. And that's a lack of love. And that's where, again, money has no energy except for the energy we give it. What energy do you think the hell it's coming from? It's coming from, again, your connection to God, your connection to like why there's a bigger purpose to life, how you being the expression of love, and then we can be happy because we're abundant instead of, again, sad. Again, which brings us back to that energy, which is what we started with, which is, again, there's no emotional support. It's like there's nothing. It's, again, because of spirit. Your emotions are the gateway to spiritual healing. That's why we have to talk about the emotions. I know you don't want to talk about the emotions, but we have to talk about the emotions because the emotion is what's stuck in your body while you're going to yoga 3 times a week. I mean, I need to do yoga. I hate it. I'm not gonna lie. It doesn't feel good to be in the body. It really doesn't. Not for someone that's psychic. You know, you train to yourself to be in the mind, you know? But then you're only living your reality. You're not really living the reality of anyone else, and that's the problem. But understand the child that survives thrives. Understand that because we're reliant fully on the Holy Spirit. We're reliant fully on God. Okay, so again, the eating disorders. And that is, again, person is like suppressing their emotions through food, which that's an addiction. And again, like because they pride themselves so much on their job and who they are, they want to seem as if they're more, a little bit more superior, right? When there's an over amount of masculine energy. And so, it comes out in competition. And it could be friendly competition, which is a little friendly competition is good. But when the person is codependent, and they know how to make money, well, obviously, emotionally, they don't know how to take care of themselves that way. So again, they have to feel as if they can provide. They have to feel as if, they're the more superior if they have more money. That's that logic. That's that reasoning. So it comes into competition because again, the person otherwise feels inadequate. Remember, it makes them, they already are feeling inadequate. You're just again a magnet of that. You're awakening that within them because that's why spirit brings soulmates into our lives. There would be no point of relationships from a spiritual, psychological, and emotional perspective. We have to understand why things happen. It's again, and why that person does that so that you can know how to react properly. Otherwise, you'd get triggered. Like, why are you trying to like the person again? It can't be happy for you then. They're not going to clap for you. And that's, again, you're going to see narcissism within people that have root chakra imbalances. Again, we're doing this backwards. I told you. The spirit was saying the poor habits are all what started this. It's like And that's again where then the person then gives too much. It's like because they don't feel like they have an identity. The identity comes from that walk with God while we're on our path through where when we're doing what we love, there's a natural unfoldment process that happens as you're on it. So that spirit says no one can take what's yours because no one knows what's yours. You don't even know what's yours. When you're being like childlike, you don't know what's happening before you're having. You just went out and played. You didn't know what was going to happen, what adventure was going to happen. Your imagination was used to be able to create the life that you wanted to have. And you used whatever the broken structures were to create yourself. It wasn't all judged, it was simpler. Life was simpler. It wasn't, again, that we based our happiness on outside things. Outside things are nice, they are important. But if, we have such a weak, you know, structure within ourselves, then that's the problem. How can we shift our mind? We can't. We can't because, again, everything is showing us otherwise. So this is when we are letting, we're not letting God lead us. We're not listening to our higher self. What we're doing is we're being, but letting our own emotions a lot of times dictate. And so again, person feels empty. They're going to, again, try to give. The person's not a bad person. Like I said, spiritual issues doesn't mean that a person's a bad person. Just like an alcoholic doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It's alcohol, the drinking is a side effect of what that person psychologically and emotionally feels, which I believe is a spiritual disorder. It's again, it's one that the environment created it. And it's, like anything else. We don't want to become part of the world. We can be in the world without becoming a part of it. God is inside of us. We are part of a much larger thing. And so we're able to co-create. Otherwise, again, stress, chatter of the mind, overthinking. See, and this affects the nervous system. Is again that which is not a good thing. You don't want the nervous system to be overactive all the time where you recondition your mind. That's why, again, living in survival mode is bad because you become addicted to those energies where all of a sudden you notice that you're drinking a little bit too much. All of a sudden you may notice that you're smoking a little bit too much because it's the way that we deal. We become addicted. It's like we should be creating in that time. We should be, again, connecting to a higher power in that time and connecting to all that is going to fulfill us emotionally and love. Because again, and leave everything else up to God, because God's going to bring us everything that we need as long as we're showing up for ourselves. So it's all about the habits and behaviorisms. Again, it goes back to where you're putting your time, your energy, your focus, and your money. What are you doing? Those are your resources. In the tarot deck, yeah, I'm going to say the tarot deck. That's when you're looking at the magician tarot card. That's what it's saying. It's saying you have everything that you need inside of you. You're the magician. You can create your life. That's your again through the Holy Spirit. It's again, it's not that the card is telling you. It's again, is that you're tapping into your higher self to use the card. It's like it's not telling you what to do. It's creating awareness for you. It's again, it's like some people do weird stuff with the tarot deck. It's not really the tarot deck that does that. It's what rituals people tend to do in order because of their reading when then they're wanting to say, well, I don't like that reading. I want to change things. And that's where the problem comes into play because understand we're like omitting the fact that there's a higher power that makes things happen. There's always divine intervention, that not everything is predicted. The life that we choose is constantly in flux. where it's constantly changing because we are constantly changing. So again, the stress comes from control, which is that second chakra, which is the passion for life one. So if we feel out of balance within that chakra, that's a problem. And so that leads us to the third chakra, which is all about that gut intuition, inner knowing. So again, that person like isn't listening to their higher self, that God part of self. And that leads to the heart chakra. They're not giving and receiving of love through their free will. That's what's happening. It's not happening. And it's like, so when that happens, you're going to see the person is going to be more of a survival person. And so again, they're not going to have a connection to like being able to see the future, where really we can always see the future for ourselves if we're in life. Our intuition tells us what's going to happen. And again, that higher self is that when we all of a sudden just know things, we don't know how we know. When we're like, oh, I knew I was going to run into Sarah. I knew that person was going to say that. I knew that person was going to do that. Well, that's just good because they do that all the time. But then I thought it's again, the intuition comes on random. It's like we know. We have an inner knowing. That's our connection to source. That's the language of the universe. That's when we're utilizing our clairsentience and our claircognizance. All right. So again, that sensitivity. That's the sensitivity I can feel. But if we're cut off from the emotions, it's then that's not good either. So it's to find the balance within to utilize the emotions, but also don't let it direct us. It's like we have to keep our heart open, remember, because that's the difficult part. It's a faith walk. And we're not seeing comes from the confidence. And confidence comes from, again, our connection to God. But how do you think you get the connection to God, people? A lot of people like a connection to God. What is God? Listen, I'm just a representative and I need a raise, but I'm just a representative giving you the message. Criticism, and that's what it is. It's like the person like has core beliefs from how they grew up. So again, they're always going to be intimidated. They're always going to see what they look for. They're going to not really feel like they belong anywhere. They're going to feel, there's always a fear of change. And that's where the root chakra imbalance is. We try to create stability within our situation, but stability comes from, again, our connection to ourself, through trusting ourselves, through relying on that Holy Spirit. Otherwise, we're not relying on the Holy Spirit, we're relying on ourselves. We're not relying on God, we're relying on ourselves. And that's the problem. Okay, so then we're going to see again. Again, like if so the person like almost like is a loner. There's someone that takes the lone path most of the time. So you would think it's because hey, they're like having a conversation with God that they're again pouring themselves into like work. Well, they're pouring themselves into work, but they also have the addictions and the other things. There's no passion is what you're noticing because it's a second chakra imbalance. And it's really because there's a root chakra imbalance, which is how the person learned how to deal with stress, how they were taught, how they were taught what they were taught about the world, and that was through life experiences, what their parents lived, what they've witnessed within their environment, what they saw. So that's why it's bad. Because again, how can we create a way where there is no way? Well, we can only be like childlike. We can only be in the passion for life. Otherwise, we can't do it, you know? And so again, what happens is that how it played out in your relationship is you always had to read between the lines. You had to uncover the truth carefully and write your own, like it was almost like this person like would lie. They would just kind of like just make up like what they thought that you wanted to hear. There was someone that was very divulgent. They like that's really what it was. That they were someone that just, you couldn't trust because they were kind of like a future faker, like someone that would like say things but not follow through. And that's because this person really truly has feelings for you. So this is why it's a spiritual issue, because you're like, okay, I know that this person has feelings for me, but why does it look like that? Why does that person do that? How did they get in their own way? And now this doesn't mean that you need to be with them. So that they just so know that that's not why I do these readings. I do these readings so that you can see what you need to heal within yourself. We haven't gotten to that part yet. Just so you know. Again, and we're going, but that's why I said we're going backwards tonight. And I don't know why Spirit just decided to do backward. I guess to test me. Always being tested, you know, missed chances. And so it's almost like this person knows that they sabotage the connection. And they sabotage the connection because it's again, they weren't honest. They were a future faker. And so a future faker usually like pretends that they're someone that they're not. They pretend that they're ready for like a real relationship, but they're not because they don't show up for themselves. Their habits and their behaviorisms are in alignment with that. So it doesn't mean that they don't want it. They want it. No one says, yeah, let me screw up my life today. Wouldn't it be great if I just fucked up my life today? No one says that. It's that it happens. And it happens more and more because it's a spiritual issue. And detachment creates that we're not fully present. We don't really feel connected to source. It's again, we have to understand that it's a missed chance because this person's like, again, doesn't like who they are. That's why they did that. They don't love themselves. So they had to pretend to, be someone else. Like, again, lie. Again, it's a way to control. That's the second chakra in balance. So you're like, yeah, and the person like on top of it doesn't just lie. They want to control me. Yeah, that this is codependency. This is what it looks like because their happiness is reliant on you. That's the whole controlling is that it's like I need to know what you're doing because I don't try. I have trust issues, what they were taught in childhood, what they were taught in their environment, and without really a connection to God, with that lack of connection to God. And when we're talking about that, we're talking about having a personal relationship, which sounds probably crazy because it's, again, you don't see it because you're not, again, we lost that privilege when Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge. We lost that privilege. So we have to understand that spirit still is inside of us. We have to be able to tap into that wisdom. We have to, again, that's what is going to give us that security, right? So it's almost like, again, you're going to see like childish behavior. They're almost like the person is stunted and they're like what happened? Well, whatever year the trauma happened is where the person is traumatized and really hasn't evolved in that particular area of life. So you can ever be a grown man and see a very childish behavior. And you're like, that way, this person is like, they're still farting, like they're still like taking risks. They still think that they're that high school person again because they don't like the change when they're stuck in whatever the reality was that made them feel good. But this again is not be having a connection to God. When we have a connection to God, we're in the flow of the universe. We're continually fulfilled. We are continually filled with prana, and that's important because, again, we want to stay balanced. We want to get that prana all the time because that's what gives us our cells and our body organs and the nourishment that it needs. When we see people get sick, it has nothing to do a lot of times with they're anything else except for how they feel about themselves. And understand some people learn the lesson, and I believe that sometimes people that have that real like broken structure when they were younger, like that, where they didn't feel safe, where they didn't really feel loved, and they could have even gotten the love because it's a spiritual thing. They just felt that way about themselves. It's that they also do a lot of things to heal themselves. And then guess what? They die all of a sudden. You say, well, why does that happen? Well, that happens because again, life is just a lesson. It's like we live many lifetimes. We would never learn that we're not separate from God in one lifetime. I feel like we live many lifetimes just in one lifetime. The home that you grew up in childhood is not your life. However, so much of it is built on what you could decide to create in your life if you channel it the proper way. And that's really, again, this is a healing channel. And so a person doesn't need to be childish and be controlling. And because again, being childish is part of that. And so, it's not that they don't care. So this is why they do what they do. Why did you attract this person into your life is why you want to know, and what you can do to heal is what you want to know. Because this is what it is. It has nothing to do with that the person, like they can have all the ingredients to be a perfect everything that you want them to be. You see that in them because that you're a soul mate. You come into their life. You expose what's broken in them. It's again, they feel intimidated by you because of that. So if you're someone that has a strong faith, you're going to again expose what's dark. If you're again in alignment with again being the best version of yourself, and that is when you're connected to that higher self, then you're going to be intimidating. Understand that, and you're going to be less understood. So again, the connection to source. So you might say, I want to go through this because connection to source. Well, again, there's trauma. People make it out of inspiration or desperation. Understand the connection to source happened at a young age, is what Spirit says. Why did you attract this person into your life? And it's again that even though you did, it's like you always had a connection to source, had a very strong spirit connection, which is why again you're attracting someone that's very again controlling and someone that's an overachiever when it comes to making money. They have a lot of those root chakra, energies, and those root chakra energies when they're out of balance. Also, there's the good elements of it too, the like side effects such as how to make a lot of money, how to think strategically. It means that you're a logical and analytical mind because you have to realize that's a masculine energy and God is masculine. But what we saw within this person was that their feminine energies were out of whack. And that's where they're not going to be transparent. They're going to lie. They feel inadequate. They feel because they're judging. Their mind is judging who they are based on, again, what has happened in their life. And if we don't have good habits and behaviorisms, then life is going to look like a roller coaster. And this is why you see the codependency, but over time you see intimacy issues, trust issues, because hey, that person can't be your everything. So, like I said, your connection to spirit gave you cleansing, healing energies on how to heal. So, and part of that is to be optimistic. Someone that knows how to create life through, you know, just doing, just trying things, just putting themselves out there, just seeing what happens. So it, it means that you're more grounded than this person. Even though this person's an overachiever, they're always in that work mode. Otherwise, they're in the mind chatter. It's where their imbalance is where you have no problem getting out there, but a structure and strategizing and thinking like methodically is not really your thing. It wouldn't be if you have a connection to spirit. So you're going to come across as someone that's different, someone that like challenges the status quo. And that's going to like, again, that doesn't make sense. You don't do things that way. I don't know how I feel about that. It's like I feel a lot of different ways about that. Because if I look at it from this way, I think this way. If I look at it from that way, I feel that way. A lot of times people have to pull back the judge, pull back their perceptions to actually see what they're seeing instead of having judgment. All right. So then we see again self-sabotage. So again, you could be in how are you codependent? Well, you're someone that's the fixer. You're someone that's going to be that person's emotional support or try to be. And in the beginning, you will be. You know why? Because it's built on lust. It's not built on the relationship because it's codependent. Because again, that person's doesn't have that connection to source. They're not, it's whatever they're gonna do, they're going to do it logically and strategically. But again, life, we're always in situations that continuously change. So we're always going to be challenged. So again, that means we're going to be highly stressed. Then we're going to need a way to deal with the stress. But like you said, if you're that person that's like taking like the stress off this person, it's like you become the punching bag. You become that doer. You become the mother. You become the fixer. You become the healer, which I said you were already the empath. You already had a close connection to spirit, to source, right? So this is how that happens. And that's self-sabotaging to you because you're not growing yourself. You're losing yourself in someone that can't sustain themselves. So they're an empty well, which means they're going to drain your energy. And this is where narcissism comes from. This is where that energy comes from. So it doesn't mean that that person is a bad person, but I also believe that there are aspects of narcissism that, like, again, reflect the same as spiritual issues. So again, you can call it like that it's you know, that like you don't have to call it like it's a spiritual issue, but anything of the mind is going to be spiritual because spiritual blocks are psychological and emotional. They're just held in the body as stress. It's what becomes our energy vibration. So again, that's why there are such things as energy healers. Otherwise, we wouldn't do that. So like I said, the self-sabotage is held within that second chakra and really in that first chakra. So again, that self-sabotaging behavior, if we're not filling our own cup and we're trying to get it elsewhere. So the codependency is, well, I'm not really strong in myself. I can do it for someone else though. I'll show up for someone else. But then what happens is you're not respected over time. The relationship can't grow. You're not going to be as flexible, right? And so that's why we have to learn how to be flexible. Sometimes again, we grew up in fear, we're a tight ass. So learning how to go with flow is essential, and not self-sabotaging because then life is just frustration. It's like this is how it plays out within your situation. And obviously that leads to too much anger. And this is actually then held within the physical body, that DNA. So Spirit says again, that's where we see cancer. That's where we see again these bad relationships, bad lifestyle habits, bad relationships, and everything is led to pain. And that's the devil. That's the negative energy. That's the fear. That's the spiritual war on consciousness that's happening right now. So we're seeing it play out within the relationship. And so you have to heal yourself. If you, again, have experienced this, so you have to say, well, how can I heal? So let's take a look because that's the whole point of this reading. It's like, again, we don't just stay within negative energy. Otherwise, I'm not an energy healer now, am I? Huh? Again, because what makes up your energy? Your thoughts and your emotions. That's what makes up your energy. So understand, know that you're protected, Spirit says again, and that the way is open to you so that no one can stop you, only you can stop you. That's what God says. God says, I make a way where there is no way just for you. So understand that you're protected and that, each small step brings you closer to overcoming your fears. Be patient with yourself. See, that's what's so difficult. It's like we judge the process, we judge who we are. Like, I think that you made me wrong. It's like, this doesn't look right. It's like trying to put that circle peg into the square holes, make something fit that doesn't. That's what this whole relationship was about. And so Spirit saying is again the stepping stone is that. It's like, and now take a deep a leap of faith, because again, you have to be. Faith is the bridge that connects you. Remember, to what we sow to what we reap. You plant corn, you get corn. So take a bold step, even if it's invisible. The path is not fully visible. Risks are rewarding. Meaning, do something. Don't be stuck in fear. It's again like your intuition will begin to kick in. So it starts with the imagination. It starts with what you desire. It starts with, becoming yourself to heal yourself, because you're not your trauma. You're not your experiences. Your experiences help you build a stronger connection to Source, to God, so that you can navigate this world that we live in. Otherwise, we can't. We don't really know how to apply the scripture to our life. The younger generation doesn't know how. And so they look for the answers outside of themselves. And so again, this is why these type of relationships play out the way that they do. This is how they're created. Again, it's all about transformation. Like it's again taking it one step at a time. You have to, it's a faith walk, is what Spirit is saying. Like if you're being told that you have guardian angels, it's understand Spirit puts the right people in your life at the right time. When I say Spirit, know that that's God, because Spirit is the Holy Spirit. So understand that it's again, God's ubiquitous. It's going to bring you the right people at the right time in the right situations. But if we're in this place of fear and lack and loneliness and all the energies that we talked about, which were depressing, well, obviously, then we're not going to see it. We're not going to trust. But everything is put on your path to help you heal and to transform, which is really what it's about. And now Spirit says, align your actions with your heart's true desires. Follow your passion. That's your passion for life. Yes, you can be in a relationship that has passion too, where you realize that that person does not make you whole. They make you are whole yourself before this person comes into your life. It's like, and if you align your heart's desire to doing what you really love to do. And that means, connecting to people that are, you're going to feel safe to actually be like close and transparent to, where you're not lying. Because again, that's a bad foundational thing. So again, that lining your heart's desire, that takes courage. Okay. And it also like takes like fearless heart again to have the courage to act from a place of love instead of fear. And that's keep saying the same thing, which it's all about learning to open up your heart. Because as I said, one of the spiritual centers is it's the heart, the head, and the gut. We listen to the gut all the time, but we have to, again, to be fully balanced, we have to tap into all three. We can't just do things from a psychic level, you know, then things are kind of done half-assed a lot of times because again, that's not the grounding. We have to do grounding, and that's mastery comes in doing. So again, the psychic realm is good for for creation, for ideas, but we have to be mindful of how we get there too. And so understand it's all about learning to open up our heart. We can relearn to open up our heart. We live in a society that has like a closed heart chakra. This is why this codependency happens. Because again, the heart is only open by giving and receiving of love continuously, not when we're relying on a relationship to give it to us all the time, or for us to be so invested in somebody else's life that we don't have a life of our own. It's again because you see it on a physical level. Pain comes from that. So again, heart issues. So spirit saying is like this is the way to learn to how to be vulnerable. How to learn how to be vulnerable when you've gotten hurt. How to heal that second chakra really so that your heart can be opened. Because when you again are in the passion for life, you can again like let people in because you have good discernment. It's because you're not so close up to the picture. You're balanced in your body, mind, and spirit. People that are codependent, they're not balanced. And so energetically, they're obviously not going to be balanced. You're going to feel that when you stand next to them. You're going to feel it. So Spirit says this is the healing antidote for you. Is like to, again, it really shouldn't be in a relationship until you feel confident with yourself, is what Spirit says. All right. So we live off with one more message. And I know that this is probably super long. And I'm sorry if it is. I don't know why they've been kind of on the longer side lately, but I'm just going with it. We leave off with action. Again, your divine action ignites love and harmony. You are aware of your thoughts and are driven by positive forces. Listen to your heart, desire to manifest light, transform tests into growth, challenges into opportunities, and fear into love. Again, and fear into fire. Really, and that's what everything reverts back to love because God is love. And so, again, you have to become yourself. And that means ground yourself. Action comes from that again, but it should be ignited by like what you love, but be aware of your thoughts continuously. But that's the problem with people that have root chakra imbalances. Their mind has trained them instead of them training their mind. You are in control of that. And it happens from listening to your heart. Okay? So, again, all to help you transform. And that's, we had a lot of tests here. So you can do it. You're on a faith walk. But again, that faith walk comes from understanding why you are attracting who you're attracting. You want to do that because if you don't, you just get back into another codependent relationship where that is what solidifies that core belief of really believing that you're not enough. Again, staying in that low vibration. Again, this was test. A test. Do you love yourself? Or do you love someone else more than yourself? And again, you were challenged. And so what we feel is it's again that the relationship ended, but you learned the spiritual lesson, but you were hurt from the relationship because this person like was a mess to start. So I'm gonna leave that there, Gemini. I know that this was a long one, but you let me know how you resonated, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.